my real estate, and then going for. And then I mentioned to him about the insurance.
Mhm.
He says that could take time. I feel the guy's just a hater, but either way, he says you have to build yourself up before you can start seeing money right away. I mean, how does it work? I never.
Well,
You got the inside. How long you been doing insurance?
it's been about 3 years. I slowed down a
Oh,
lot this last year because I had like I told you, at first I lost my son and then I lost my husband.
oh,
So
my
I had,
condolences.
thank you. I had two really bad deaths in my family, so I slowed down a lot. But
Right.
that is not true. Once I studied and I passed my test and I got on board with him.
Put you up for adoption.
Yeah, I never started recording. Okay, well, I just started recording of the class. That's all right. That's all right. We just missed a little bit. Let's just do that quick breakdown. So far, what are the three approaches to value? Which approach to value is most often used by real estate agents? CMA, the sales comparison approach. Which approach to value is used to determine the value of special purpose buildings like churches, public buildings that don't have comparables or don't generate income in the normal fashion?
Cost approach.
And how do you calculate the cost approach?
You have to
Yes,
To
the value
subtract
of
the
the land.
expenses from the income.
Well, you got to figure out the value of the land, how much it would cost to acquire that land in this neighborhood today if it were put to its highest and best use. What is the highest and best use? It's the most valuable use that that can be adapted to a property or a use that's most in demand in a reasonably near future. And then you calculate depreciation, which is a loss of value due to any cause or condition. Depreciation of the improvement to the land, not the land, because land does not depreciate. And then you add the value of the land back in, and then you've got your total. So that's what an appraiser does. We don't do that. Only for exam are we going to do a cost approach math problem. And then reproduction cost would be the cost to reproduce that building at making it an exact duplicate. And just replacing the building with something else, it's not necessarily an exact duplicate, is replacement cost. All right. We have our depreciation now. Depreciation is a loss of value due to any cause or condition. Just doing a little recap here because I wasn't recording. Functional obsolescence, it means that it's functional. There's nothing wrong with the property, but it's outdated by today's standards. There's nothing wrong with the property. It's just considered outdated. An example I gave before was a 5-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. It's fully functional, but by today's standard, you want more than 1 bathroom. So it's outdated. That 1 bathroom could be super modern, super updated, but it's not, there's only 1 bathroom. So therefore it's outdated by today's standards. And then we have external obsolescence. External meaning something that's not on the subject property that's outdated or that affects your value. Like the local economy, the major industry shuts down. You have no control over that, but it's something that's not on your property that could affect your property values. Also known as locational obsolescence, okay? Let's just say that your property is located next to a park that's contaminated with PCBs. That could affect the desirability and value of your house. However, there's nothing you could do about that. It's contamination is on someone else's property. So this kind of obsolescence is almost always incurable versus physical deterioration. Deterioration means that it's rotting, it's falling apart, right? But you could cure that by replacing the wood or whatever rotted. Functional obsolescence doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it, but it's outdated by today's standards. You could always do upgrades. So that you can improve. But external obsolescence is almost always incurable, all right? Almost always incurable, all right? And then just to recap here, okay, so income approach to value is for any property it's used for any property that generates income in the normal way. So any property that generates income. So cap is short for capitalization rate, which is a measurement of the rate of return on an investor's money. So that's what it's, it determines the rate of return. It's a measurement that determines the rate of return on an investor's money using the T formula, which I'm going to be teaching you in the upcoming slides. It's going to be coming up soon. Just make sure, yeah, that's coming up soon. All right, so you're going to be using that T formula, which I'm going to teach you as a handy little tool. You could also use this for calculating your commissions and such, and several math problems you could figure with that. Now, one number that you're going to need to know for there is you're going to have to learn some terminology first. Some of that terminology is GOI, stands for gross operating income. That's your income before expenses. GOE, gross operating expenses, that's your expenses. If you take your expenses and you subtract it from your income, you're left with the net operating income, or NOI. Okay, so these are terminology you got to understand. NOI, GOE, GOI, you're going to see them sometimes in the MLS, or somebody is going to talk to you about it depending what field you go into. If you deal with residential real estate, you're not going to deal with that. But if you ever do commercial, you do need to know it. All right. So there's two forms, there's two ways, two methods of calculating value using the income approach, using the cap rates, measuring the rate of return on investors' money, or GRM, which we're going to get into, is the you're comparing to income producing properties. Okay. So income approach uses using one of the following two methods. All right, so next slide. Here we go. Okay, so gross rent multiplier. We can do GRM first and then get into cap rates? Yes, that's what we're going to do. All right, so this income approach is going to be taught to you across the next couple of slides, okay? So the next couple of slides are going to explain these two methods and some of the terminology that's used in them, all right? I'll just write that here. So GRM is the gross rent multiplier. Here, let me probably put this, the acronym at the front of the line. GRM would be the gross rent multiplier. A multiplier is not a percentage or a rate. A multiplier is just a number. The number itself is insignificant, but it's a number that's used to compare two things. In this case, it'll be two similar income producing properties. When you're comparing two income producing properties, you have to compare apples to apples here. You have to, for instance, if you have a 5-family house, you can only compare a 5-family house to another 5-family house. You can't compare a 5-family to a 4-family, or 5-unit to a 4-unit. Yeah, it has to be the same number of units here. You have to compare apples to apples in that regard. Okay, you'll see what I mean once we get to the math of it. So it's used to determine value by comparing two or more income generating properties using a multiplier, which is an insignificant number. There's no such thing as a good or bad multiplier, so no such thing as a good or bad multiplier. It's just used to compare two things. In this case, they're income producing properties. That's what those things are. All right. So I know we may have some mathematical geniuses here. I'm not one of them. I use a calculator for everything, but that should be encouragement to you, those of you who aren't either, because we're allowed to use a calculator on exams. Okay. You need to know the formulas and how to come up with the problem, how to come up with the answer, though. All right. We're allowed to use a calculator, but you need to know the formulas and how to come up with the answers. Okay. And that's what I'm going to teach you because I know the formulas and I know how to get to that. And knowing is half the battle. All right. So when calculating the GRM, you have to use something that's called the reverse T formula. The reverse T formula. You're going to see why we call it the T formula in a moment. Let me see. Now, the information needed to calculate, you need any two of the following three items. You need the gross monthly income, the value of the property, or the GRM itself. Those are the three items. You need any two to solve for the third. Okay? So information needed to calculate any two of the three items. All right. And then we also have a GIM, something called a GIM, but I doubt we're going to get this on exam. This is gross income multiplier. It's slightly different than gross rent multiplier. It also factors in additional income that you may get on the property, not from the real estate, but from sales concessions and other things like that. So we're actually not going to do a math problem on it, but at least we're discussing now what that entails. It's talking about the GRM plus additional revenue from other things that are not the real estate. Okay. So from additional sales concessions not coming from the real estate. Okay. So should give that its own bullet point or number point. La da, 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 da. What's the numbering? All right. A reconciliation. What are the three approaches to value? The CMA, sales comparative approach, sales comparison approach. We have the cost approach and the income approach. Reconciliation is when you apply more than one of the three approaches to value to the same property. And then you use that to figure out which would be the best approach that I should apply to this property. So what do you call it when you use more than one of the three approaches to value on the same property?
Reconciliation.
There you go. Another term to add to your definition list. Now, which would be the best approach? Well, the one, of course, that's the most profitable. Silly. Would be the most profitable approach, right? Come on, where's your head at? You know that. Now, cap rates. Getting back to cap rates, let's start figuring out how to calculate and do the math of cap rates and gross rent multiplier. This is an awesome slide I put together for you, if I don't say so myself. All right. It shows you how to calculate these.
Not to toot your own horn, but to toot your own horn.
Yeah, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I didn't do a bad job here. All right. So
yourself on the back.
Cap rates uses the T formula. You see why they call it the T formula? Kind of looks like a T, right? And what is this symbol right here? You see this symbol? You got a line with the two dots like that. You guys recognize that symbol? Divide, division, right? Doesn't that look like the division symbol?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you don't
Now
see it.
does.
So what you're saying
Yes,
is I gotta
do.
get. So what you're saying is I gotta get the board
Oh,
out.
okay,
and I
okay.
gotta
I
open
see.
up
So
the
the top is
whiteboard.
division, but since you have the X, it's multiplication.
Correct. So the X is multiplication.
Okay.
The line with the a dot above it and below it, that's the division symbol in math, right?
Right.
So here's the three figures that we need. We need any two of these three numbers in order to solve for the third. So when calculating cap rates, you need the NOI. That's the net operating income. That's considered a small number, and it always goes on the top of the T in the T form.
Gotcha.
And then the large number would go on one side, and a percentage or rate goes on the other side. That percentage or rate could be the cap rate. It could be your commission. It depends on what the problem is that you're trying to solve. There. We're going to do a problem really quick. I'm waiting for that whiteboard to open. I believe that it did. Still opening, but I got to switch to it. We're going to do, I'm going to show you how to use the T formula using your commission. Because you may get a math problem like that on exam. Come on, whiteboard, chug it, chug it, chug it. Got to get a more powerful computer. Even though this computer's got a lot of juice in it, got a lot of memory. More powerful processor, like so many things in the background at once. All right, now before I open up a fresh slideshow, I'm going to see if I have an existing one with some math problems here for you on commission split, tax math. No, that's easements. What is this? Is this blank? It would be. So I could delete that one. Let's see, PMI. Oh no, this is that sewer example. Remember this problem with the sewer example? What do you call that? When a landlord has to evict a tenant due to, or I'm sorry, an action taken by the tenant when the tenant evicts themselves due to uninhabitable conditions. It's constructive eviction. Remember that? All right.
Yes, I remember it.
No, you don't. Who are you lying? Stop lying.
No, I'm not. I remember it.
Okay. He sounded a little sketchy on that, didn't he?
Remember after he
You are
says, then
so
only
bad.
we remember. Otherwise, we forgot.
You are so bad.
All right. You just busted your chops a little bit. I see. Math, calculating commissions. Is this the one? Calculating mortgage. Let's see. I'm going to see if it's calculating commissions using T formula at all or not. No, those were other math problems. We could add it into the same slide here. This is actually calculating commissions anyway. So let's just add another problem. There's a third problem here. That's calculating commissions based on area. Here, let's do one using the T formula, okay? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna make a separate one altogether. Brand new one for calculating commissions using the T formula. Look how indecisive I am. Going back to it again. We'll do it in here. All right, so using the T formula. So how does the T formula work? Well, first of all, it looks like a T, right? And you got that division symbol. You got the multiplication symbol. You guys can see the whiteboard here, by the way?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So one thing you remember, the small number goes up top. large number goes on one side and a percentage or rate goes on the other, right? So the small number, why am I saying small number instead of the gross net operating income? Well, because you could use this T formula to solve several problems. A large number or percentage or rate. Okay, so there's also a little acronym to remember here to help you out when dealing with the calculator. T, G, I, F. No, it does not stand for thank God it's Friday. It means that the top number goes in the calculator first. Okay? Top number goes in calculator first. That's what TGIF stands for. All right? So that's your acronym right there, TGIF. Top number goes in first. All right, so now that we have this information, this is your guide on how to use the T formula, I guess. All right. This is your little guide on how to use that T formula. Here's your instructions here, okay? Didn't have to do that. You didn't have to close that loop, silly. Whatever, looks better anyway. All right, so let's see. Now, keeping that open, if I were to give you a math problem that said, say, oh, for example, to calculate your commission, if I were to give you a math problem that said, if the total commission collected was $23,100 and the property sold for $385,000.
Are you using your board? Because I don't see what you're writing.
Yeah, I am. You're not seeing that?
Oh, okay. I see now.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so if the total commission collected was $23,100 and the property sold for $385,000, how much was the commission rate the agent charged? All right. So if you get a problem like this, you can use the T formula to figure it out. Let me just move this up here. You can use the T formula to figure that out. Here, this is the way that you do it. First of all, you draw a T. Boop, boop. Division, multiply across. So you divide down or multiply across. TGIF, top number goes in the calculator first. Divide down, multiply across. Divide down.
So the 23,100 will go on top since that's the smaller number.
Yep.
385,000 will go into the left box. So we'll divide the top into the bottom.
Yep. So basically up top we put the $23,100 goes up top because that's the smaller number. Small number always goes up top. And then we put the large number on either side. Doesn't matter which side. I just usually like to put it here. So I put 385 goes on the other side, right? So you divide down. Now, remember, TGIF, top number goes in first. So you know to divide down, but sometimes when I say divide down, people still will put the 385 in the calculator first. So TGIF lets us remember the top number goes in the calculator first. So if we type in the calculator $23,100 divided by 385,000,
6%, I think.
6%. There we go. Wasn't that easy?
Yep.
That gives you 0.06, which is basically 6%. And that is your answer. Right? 6%. That's the answer.
Hopefully, the examples come like that in the test.
Well, it'll come like this in the question form. They won't give you the T formula. That's what I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you that T formula is very helpful. It's very helpful for figuring this out, isn't it?
Okay.
If you know about it, if you remember it, and if you know how to use it. So I'm teaching it to you, and I'm showing you how easy it is. And I'm not good at math. I use a calculator for simple math problems. And that should be encouraging for you guys because even I can figure it out. If I could figure it out, you can figure it out, okay? There's some encouragement for the people who get panic attacks when I say the word math, okay? Because I know they're out there.
You're talking to me.
Yeah, well, I know. Like I said, you're not the only one, okay? So there's it's a common issue. People have panic attacks when it comes to math, okay? So here is just another problem for that, okay? Wasn't this one easy to figure out? Look, it could work in several ways too. The same math problem. Hold on a second. The same problem. If I were to ask it in a different way, I'm going to show you how you could prove your math is correct or wrong, is right or wrong, all right? This is the way that you do that. If you want to prove that your math is right or wrong, well, if we know that this is 6% over here, or 0.06, that's 6%. If it's 385, let's do this. Let's try it another way. Let's do 385 times 6%, and we should get 23.1.
Yeah, you will. That's the way I did it.
Right? You plug that number in a calculator, it comes out to 23.1, right?
Yes.
Now, what if we do this? $23.1 divided by 6%, we should get 385. Does it work?
Yes.
All right, so there you go. So this shows you how you could use this tool not only to come up with the answer, but also to double check it to make sure that that answer is right. Okay, so isn't this really a handy little tool for proving your math problem? All right, so I just want to walk you through how you can also double check the math. Okay, so double check math. I don't know why my C became an O, but that's Microsoft for you. All right. Let's give you guys another problem. So this one said if the total commission collected was 23,001 and the property sold for 385, how much were you charged? So if I worded it another way, now how could I word it another way? Well, I could word it like this. If the total commission charged was 6%, and the agent or agency collected $23,100, how much did the property sell for? And this is the one that we already have the math here for. So you know what? Forget about this as a double check. We can just put this in as the way that it's worded. This is just another math problem altogether. Boom.
It's the same math problem, but questioned differently, and that's what we got to watch out for.
Yeah. Boom. Yep, so it's the same math problem, but I gave it to you as a different question altogether. And you see the answer would be 385. So you put 23,001 divided by 6%, because we know that the small number goes up top. We know we're trying to find out how much the property sold for. The sales price is always going to be more than the commission, isn't it? So we know that the number we're looking for is the large number, and it's going to have to go on the bottom of this T. See, they're not going to give you this. They're not giving you any of this. You're just going to get this as a question. You guys are going to need to know, I got to draw this on my scrap paper, because they're not going to give this to you. This is a tool I'm teaching you. And you got to know, put the 6% down the bottom and put the 23,100 over here. And then you fill in and then you use that to solve. And your answer would be 385. Is everybody getting this? Does everybody understand this? Or is anybody confused on how to use the T formula?
I got it.
I got it.
No problem.
Yeah. Easy peasy, nice and easy, right? Look at that. I love when my class picks up on things like that. You guys are so smart. Bunch of smart and lady.
You are a good teacher.
No, you're smart. You guys are the ones that are getting it, you know? So if you're getting it and I don't have to explain it 5,000 times, that's not bad. You know, I like that. That's good. I will, don't get me wrong, I will explain it 5,000 times if I need to, but all right. So let's see. Now, if this is a problem using cap rates, oh boy. This is one of the income approaches to value, right?
Yes.
What is a cap rate? It measures the rate of return on an investor's money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys get a question that's like, a property is listed for sale for $400,000. The total rents are equal to, total rents are, hold on a second. Let me see what the total rents would be. Let's see. The total rents are $3,600 a month. The and the property has an expenses of, let's see, properties listed for 4,000, total rents are 3,600 a month. Property taxes are $8,500 a year. Insurance, property insurance, we'll put that at what? We'll put it at 900 a year. The water sewer charge, we'll say it's $300 per quarter. Common area electric, we'll put that at what? $75 a month? Or we'll do $85 a month. The gas for the common area gas is at, let's just say it's at $70 a month. Trash / waste removal, the dumpster, you know. Let's say the dumpster's $100 a month. And we got a landscaper. What's he charging us? So he's charging us $125 a month. Is that too much? Yeah, that may be for this house. That may be a little bit too much. Here, let's just say the landscaper. Let's say the landscaper's charging us $100 a month. We'll leave it at that. And we'll throw in there some miscellaneous repairs at $1,700 a year, and a mortgage payment of let's say the mortgage payment is $3,200 a month. The question is, if the property listed for this, and here's all the expenses, what would be the cap rate? Now, I'm gonna tell you something. There's a trick to this. There is a little trick to this problem. There's a trick built in, and I'm just gonna write it right here. There's just a little trick. Okay. The trick is you need to know when calculating cap rates, you don't factor in the financing / mortgage payment. They gave you too much info that you don't need. And if you don't know the numbers that you need to know, you ain't getting the problem right. Make sense?
Yes.
So, what I suggest that everybody does right here to make this problem easier for you is I suggest that you come next to it and you start writing in the figures. I mean, writing in the figures. Well, if this is the problem, I suggest that you convert everything to annual expenses. Like if you got a quarterly expense, $300 times 4, you got $1,200. So next to this, I suggest you, let me turn that to black ink. Doo-doo-doo. So you're going to turn this to, what is it, $1,200. $85 a month, 85 times 4, times 12. 12 months in a year.
1,020.
85 times 12, that's 1,020, 1020. So I suggest you do this next to all these figures. Just write what they are. 1220. Oh, no, that's not 1220. It's 1020. See, by writing in the figures like this, then all you already convert everything to annual. Then all you got to do is add it up. 70 times 12, 840. You guys see what I'm doing here? Trash at $100 a month times 12, $1,200. $1,200, $1,700 a year. Okay, if the mortgage is $3,200 a month, who cares? You don't need that number, right? This is the trick part to it. You don't calculate this. They gave you too much info. But you need to know that. Now the question is, what would the cap rate be? Well, let's add all of this up. So what do? We take our, we first need to figure out our GOI. Then we calculate our GOE. Subtract GOI from GOE, and you're left with the NOI, right? And then we could plug that into our T formula. To figure this out, right? So what goes up top? The NOI, but it's the annual. When calculating cap rates, you need the annual NOI. All right? So let's calculate our income. Did they give us the income? Oh, total rents are 36 per month. So 36 per month times 12, right? 3,600 times 12.
43,200.
43.2, right? All right, looking good so far. And the gross expenses, well, we got to add everything up. Let's see. So we got to add up $3,600 plus the $8,500 plus $900 a year for the insurance.
No, with the 3,600.
Oh, you're right. You caught me. You got me. Thank you. I didn't. You got to pay attention to the numbers. It's right. You got to pay attention. Look, so I screwed up there. So it's $8,500 a year for the property taxes. I thought something was wrong too. Then we got the plus the 900, plus the 1,200 for the water sewer, plus 1020, plus 840, plus 1,200, plus 1,200, plus the $1,700 for the miscellaneous repairs. And the total expenses on this property, $16,560. So we take our $43,200 minus the $16,560, and that gives us a total annual net operating income of $26,640. Did everybody get that?
Yes.
See, all the math is kind of simple, right? Now, we know the property value is $400,000, so we could just stick that number right here. $400,000 is the big number. So, 26,640 divided by 400,000 gives us, well, we round it to 7%. Because my calculator rounded it. If it came out to a different number, I don't know. My calculator rounded it. All right. So that's the answer, and that's not a bad return. So the answer, it's not spelled with an M. I don't know why I'm doing that. Right? Just to separate it out. You don't, but you got to remember, you don't calculate, you don't factor in the financing when figuring out cap rates. Was calculating this cap rate difficult?
No. Vita,
No.
but you
Not
didn't-
really.
No, it makes you work a little bit more, but no, not really.
Well, because
Why don't you calculate the monthly mortgage, the
It-
monthly payment?
it's based on annual.
Okay.
Oh, for the mortgage, you don't
Yeah.
calculate the mortgage because that financing amount will be different for each person. So whatever the current seller's cap rate is, that'll be different than what the buyer is, because the buyer is going to pay a totally different price for the property. They're going to have a different they have a different price for the property, and then if you factor in the mortgage as an additional expense, it's going to be a different mortgage that they financed. So the cap rate's going to be totally different. But if we don't factor that in, the cap rate's going to be the same for everybody. Eventually, when the mortgage is paid off, the cap rate's the same.
Vita,
Right?
question.
Now,
You divided 2640 for 400,000 is, to me, it's coming 0.0666. That's why you're coming to 7%.
So my calculator rounded.
Ah, okay. You calculate around it.
My calculator rounded. So I don't know what the exact number was, but it basically rounded out. So what did you get exactly?
0.666.
0.0666.
So it's a little bit above 6.5%, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So here, I mean, I'll write that. I'll write the correct. I'll write the correct amount here. So it came out
6.6%.
6.6. It came out to.
Yes.
6.666.
Yes, 6.6.
Oh. So I'm just gonna put 6.6. We don't need to get down
Yeah,
to.
because if you multiply it, you do it the 400 times 7% is coming up to 28,000.
All right. So there we go. So it's 6.6% would be your. This is your cap rate.
Yeah.
Right.
0.66. Well,
Which is 6.6%. So look, if you see, just so you guys know how to 6.6%, how do you convert this? How do you convert the
0.0666.
you got to go 2 decimal points, right?
Mhm.
So it's 0.066, converting it to a whole number.
Yes.
All right. So that's how you do it if you don't have a calculator handy. And if you want to turn a number 0.066 to a percentage, you go 2 decimal points to the right. And it'll be 6.6. Okay.
All right.
The rate is a percentage.
Yes, the cap rate is a percentage. It's a rate of return. It's a percentage. It's so that would be the rate of return on the investor's investment. And what was the investor's investment? $400,000. So if they want to get a higher return, they could offer a lower price, or they'd have to raise the rent, or they'd have to lower their expenses. There's different ways that you could raise the rate of return on the investor's money, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could either lower these expenses, you can lower your price that you pay, or you jack up the rent. get more income.
Victor, is there any different way that they can phrase this question to ask us in the exam?
Well, I gave it to you in a way where you'd have to work out all the math. They'll probably give it to you that all the property expenses add up to whatever. The mortgage is this, the taxes and insurance come up to that. You know, they're not going to give you all the each and every individual number probably. They'll probably just give you that. Now, and you know, the way that they could screw with you is not screw with you. They could say there are 2 units there. Each unit is renting for $1,800 a month. So you'd have to calculate the monthly and then calculate the annual. So this is just a cap rate problem. I'm going to add these into a slideshow. I'm going to do some screen prints and add them into a slideshow later. Now, let's do a GRM problem. Let's first go back to the slideshow for a moment. So, cap rates. You see I put over here, subtract total GOE from the annual GOI, and you're left with the NOI. Then you plug the numbers into the T formula over here. So I give you step-by-step instruction here, how to do this. And you got your T formula, TGIF, top number goes in the calculator first, divide down, multiply across. Everything I've already explained to you, all right? Now, gross rent multiplier is you're comparing two properties, 2 similar income producing properties. Now, in order to solve this, you need any 2 of the following 3 numbers in order to solve it. The GRM, the gross monthly income, or the property value. Now, if they're just asking you to figure out what the GRM is, it's called the reverse T formula for a reason. See how the small number goes up top over here? Over here, the small number goes on the bottom, and the large number goes up top. It's reverse of what the normal is. But what is considered the small number is also different. It's not the annual NOI, it's the gross monthly income. So you don't need to know what the expenses are. Now, on this one, which they usually give you guys as a math problem on exams, they'll screw with you by giving you the annual income. All you got to do is divide it by 12 to figure out the monthly. And they may give you expenses and the mortgage amount, all numbers that you don't need to know. So let me give you a math problem like that. What we're going to do here is we're going to figure out the GRM, calculate, let me zoom in on that, calculate GRM, gross rents multiplier, for the property example. We just figured the cap rate on. So we just figured the cap rate for this problem. Now we're going to do a separate problem here. We're going to calculate using the same numbers on this problem to the left, right? Let's draw our T on our scrap paper here. Works the same way, TGIF, top number goes in first. But one thing you got to remember is when calculating the GRM, what numbers go in the T formula?
Large one on top.
the large number on top, which is the value. The large number is always going to be the value. The reason why GRM, you don't use it for calculating commissions. You don't use it for anything else other than, at least that I'm aware of, you don't use it for anything else, any other problem other than calculating the GRM. Do you use the reverse T formula for? Now, what is the number that goes on one side? It will be the small number. But the small number here is the gross
Income, monthly income.
monthly income. And then we have the GRM. This is not a rate or a percentage, not a percentage rate. Okay? Not a percentage rate. So, what numbers can we plug in here already to figure out for this property? Well, it's $3,600 a month. So, where does that go?
Yeah, but go in the small gross monthly income.
It goes right here. And what's the other number we need to know? The value of the property, right?
400,000 on the top.
And that's 400,000. It goes up top. So 400,000 divided by 3,600, and what do you get?
Hold on, I don't have a calculator.
All right, open up your calculators. I was relying on you guys. I didn't open up mine. So
400.
actually, let me open up my cell phone. So you see that one, I'll probably get.
The 100. No. Yeah.
1,000 over 9. What is
No,
that?
no. 111.11.
111.11. Right? This is the GRM.
But
that's your answer.
111.11.
Yep. Is that a good number?
Yes.
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 It's the perfect number.
There is no such thing as a good GRM. It's just a number that's used to, a multiplier is just a number that's used to compare two things. So the GRM equals 111.11. Now, that is the correct answer, but there is no such thing as a good GRM. A GRM is an insignificant number. The number itself is insignificant.
Yeah.
So what is it used for? Well,
yeah.
On this particular property, we figured out that the rate of return in this for this particular property is 6.6%. That's the cap rate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we want to compare it to another property that comes up for sale, and we may not have all the numbers on that property, so we can't calculate the cap rate. But we have an investor that will buy the property if it still gets us in that same cap rate range. So what we could do is we could compare it. It's not as accurate as cap rates. It's like a GRM is like a rough figure to get us in the ballpark. It's not meant to be accurate when we don't have all the data available to us. So I'm going to show you, by the way, what I just taught you right now is all you need to know for exam. Was that an easy problem to figure out what the GRM was?
Only we have to remember the question is when they asking us for the cap rate or the GRM.
Yeah, because one uses the reverse T formula and one uses the T formula. But then you don't just remember what the small number goes up top, small number goes on the bottom. What is the small number for the cap rate? It's the annual net income, the annual NOI. And the small number on the GRM is the gross monthly income.
Yes.
So if the problem told you what the annual income was, you just divide it by 12. because that's usually how they screw with you on the exam. I'm going to give you one of those math problems in a minute to figure out. First, let me show you how this could be a useful tool for you in real life now. Most agents don't use it, but I'm going to show you how it could be very useful. Because sometimes if you don't have all the properties info and you want to call up and you want to find out what the rents and the income and what the expenses are, some property owners and their agents won't disclose that info to you unless you first sign a non-disclosure agreement. Now you got to get your clients to sign contracts, these non-disclosure agreements, open them up to lawsuits and yourself as well. When it's just a property, you're just trying to figure out if you even want to show. You don't even know if they're interested in this property at this point. You haven't seen it. You just want to figure out if it's property you even want to show. You know what? That's too much of a hassle. When I could just do a little simple math and I could figure that out for myself. Because I know that this house in the same neighborhood as this other property that came up on the market that I don't have the info for, I know that it has a GRM of 111.11. And that will get us in the 6.6 cap rate range. So we get another property that comes up for sale. Another property, or let's say another 2-unit property comes up for sale in the same neighborhood, in the same area. And the investor will purchase it if the cap rate is between 6 or is over 6%. So we're gonna use the GRM, to compare this new listing to the other property in the area, which we have all the income and expense information for. That is also a 2-unit building, because you got to compare apples to apples. That's what I mean there by comparing apples to apples, right? So in the area which we have all the income and expenses and information for, that is also a 2-unit building. How much should we offer on the new listing to get us or to get the investor a 6.6% or above return cap? Now, okay, so let's see, is 6.6 or better? All right, so this is going to be the problem here. This is going to be a separate problem. However, I'm going to need to modify this information a little bit here because I did not tell you what the rents were. So I'm going to say I'm going to modify this question a little bit to say the monthly. Monthly rent. Two units at $1,800 a month. That comes out to the same thing anyway, 3,600, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we know that, let's say these are 3-bedroom units, and 3-bedroom units in this area are going for $1,800 a month. So this property, okay, this property is this property has 2 3-bedroom units. Asking price is, who cares? Right? We don't know the income and we don't know the expenses on it. We don't know it. We don't know the figures. They would want us to sign a non-disclosure agreement to get it. We're not going to go through all that. So how can we find out I need to word this better. How much should we offer the new listing to get a 6.6 cap rate or above? Asking price is irrelevant, but let's just say they're asking $450,000 for it. And instead, we're gonna change both of these to 3-unit buildings. This one over here, I'm gonna change this one to 3 units. If it's 3,600 a month divided by 3, what does that give us?
$1,200.
It's $1,200
a month.
Okay. So usually I break this down to a 4-unit building, and I'll say it's got 2 bedrooms renting for how much, and 3. Eric. Shit. Let me just figure something out real quick with the math. So we got the 3 units there. If I were to break that into 4 units, okay, let's see, so it's 3,600 a month. Divided by 4, that's 900 a month.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to do it this way. So 900 a month. So we're going to have the property that we know that we have the information for over there. Let's just say that that comparable property had 4 units and 2 are 2-bedroom at $800 a month each, and 2 3-bed at 1,000 a month each, right?
Yes.
That's cheap rent.
Yeah, I know it's cheap rent, but I screwed up the problem, so we gotta make the best.
Total $3,600. Yes.
Yeah, so it comes out to the same figure.
You're missing one
Yeah,
zero.
no, I understand.
You're missing a zero.
So this was that previous problem that we had. So let me see. So another property comes up on the market for area, purchase it for the cap rate of 6.6% or better. Use the GRM to compare the new listing to the property. Okay, so the other property in the area, we calculated the 6.6% cap for, has 4 units. How much do we offer on the new listing? There we go. Okay, so
you're missing the 3-bed is a 900. It's 1,000. Please that one.
as 1,000. Okay. So now that makes it a little bit better. So how do we figure this out? This is actually real easy to figure out. So how do we do it? Well, we're going to do this. Ready? We got to draw the T formula first. And we know that to get that 6.6 cap rate, we're going to need to have a 111.11 GRM. Okay? Because that's what the GRM is for the properties in this area, for 4-unit buildings in this area. Now, would we agree that a 4-unit building compared to another 4-unit building it could vary greatly, but I know that. But should the expenses to maintain these 2 4-unit buildings be approximately in the same ballpark?
Yeah, pretty much.
They should be. They should be, okay? I mean, listen, I told you this is not an accurate tool. This is a quick, rough, dirty tool, right? It's just to get us in the ballpark. Now, they didn't even tell us what the rents are in this property. Oh. But this one has, come on, let me zoom in. We're going to say that this one has 3 3-bedroom units. None. And it's going to have, this property has 3 3-bedroom units. And 1 2-bedroom unit. We don't even know what the rents are. However, if we're in a neighborhood if we're looking for apartments for rent, do 3 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms go for approximately the same price range in the same neighborhood?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean,
depending on the condition of the property.
Yeah, barring that one property is a shithole and the other one's really nice, they're pretty they should be in the same ballpark, right? So let's just say that we already know that 2 bedrooms are renting for $800 each, right? So we have 1 2-bed, and we'll say that's at $800. And we have 3 3-bed, which would be, so if they're renting for $1,000 each, times 3, that's 3,000, plus the 800, that's 3,800.
Mm-hmm.
And that is monthly, right?
Yeah, but then we have a $200 over in there.
What's that?
We don't have even the $3,600 monthly more.
Well, hold on a second. That's because the other building had two 2-bedrooms and 2 3-bedrooms. This one has 3 3-bedrooms and 1 2-bedroom.
Oh, okay. Then we have a little extra profit.
So it's earning more money. That's why.
All right.
Now, where does the small number go on the GRM? Right here.
On the left-hand side.
The 3,800, right? So all we do is, how much should we offer on this property now in order to get us in that 6.6% cap rate range?
You take the 3,800 and you multiply that into the GRM, and that should give us the top.
Yep. So we take 3,800 times 111.11, and that tells us we should not offer more than 422,000. 422,218. This should get us in the 6. Okay, so this should get us in that 6.6 cap rate range. You see how it's useful without having any of the properties info, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
See how this could be a handy, useful tool?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
I want to move all this stuff around here a little bit.
Only what we have to do is really read carefully whatever they asking us. All right, that's all the tricky.
What's that?
We have to really careful when we read these questions. We have to be sure what they really want to.
Do that
and the
for
way
every
we say in the sample before, they give you a mortgage payment when we don't need that information. They want to confuse us with that number.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what we did, all we did here is we applied these figures.
Yeah.
Here. So apply known figures. From similar property.
Oh,
so I showed you how, that last part was me showing you how to really use this in real life. But in reality, you don't need to know any of that for exam. Okay? But I just showed you how it could be very useful for you because I want you guys to be good agents too. So let me show you one more GRM problem. I want you to figure it out on your own.
okay.
If the we got a property for sale at $425,000. with $9,500 a year taxes, $900 a year insurance, annual rents at $28,000 a year, and property expenses at $12,500 a year. What is the what is the GRM for this property? So there's your problem right there. Let's figure this out. So we have our T formula. The property value goes where?
On the left
No,
left side bottom.
and the top.
On the top, when
the
figuring out
top.
the GRM, you need to know large number.
That's right, the GRM. Yeah, that goes on the top.
See, it's a matter. See, it's a matter of trying to remember. You guys got to remember what numbers to plug into the T formula and the reverse T formula. All right, so now
I got confused a little bit because I thought you was talking of the other formula, but when you said
Now,
GRM,
we put
that's
the
when I
rent
know the
on
large
there.
goes on top.
well, this question gets a little tricky because this question's a little bit tricky, and the reason why this question's a little bit tricky is because I give you a lot of information that you don't need to know.
Yeah.
We need, in order to figure out the GRM, what goes on this side?
On what size? And the
On the
year
other
end?
side of the bottom.
Monthly rent.
Percentage.
The gross monthly rent, right? And so we only have the annual.
Yeah, so we have to divide the 2,800 divided on 12.
Wait, where's the annual? $2,800 a year. Wait.
2,333 and 33 cents
So we take that at 28,000
divided on 12.
and we divide that by 12 to get the
Then I
monthly rent.
2,333 and 33 cents.
I'm sorry, what was it again?
2,333 and 33 cents.
All right, so let's just keep it at 2,333.
All right.
$2,333. Now we can plug that number in here, right? So now we plug it in here. Plug the number in. Calculate. Oh. A little sloppy. All right, so
182.17.
182.60, yeah, 17. Put it 17.
so 425,000 divided by 2333, 182.17. It's rounded up to, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
We
182.1688.
can make even one.
182.17.
Yeah.
So it's rounded. There you go. That was pretty easy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is when you know the formula. Let's see if you remember the formula.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's the answer. As I showed it to you, and as you guys just even told me, that was easy. But it's only easy if you remember what number to plug into what formula you got to use in order to figure it out.
Yep.
The only we have to remember for cap, we go small number, the NOE, large number on the left side, and the ray on the right side. And the reverse is like we move a little bit.
Yeah, we put the large number up top and the small number down the bottom, but what also changes is what the small number is.
And we have to remember it's a monthly.
It's gross monthly income.
It's monthly income, it's not yearly.
Yep, not annual, but monthly.
A monthly, yes.
Exactly. So
I test this, but I can't.
So here, so this is what we need to, you study this key formula that I'm teaching you here. You guys are, listen, I doubt you're going to get a problem for math for cap rates. For cap rates, they may just ask you the measurement of the rate of return on an investor's money. And they could write one of the answer options are cap rate or capitalization rate. It could be as simple as that.
Okay.
But when but they'll usually give you a math problem with gross rent multiplier. That I know.
A question, because always the cap rate is for annually.
Annual, always annual.
Gross rent multiple is monthly.
Correct.
That's only we have to remember.
Yeah.
The cap is annually and the rental.
Just remember this: gross rent multiplier. Multiplier begins with an M, and so does the word monthly.
Yes.
So there's a way to try to remember the number there. On the gross rent multiplier begins with an M. That's your monthly income.
Monthly income, yes.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Woo. All right. We got another math problem to go here. This one's harder yet.
Oh.
We learned about the cost approach, and I told you we'll never do this in real life. Only appraisers will do this. But here are the steps for calculating depreciation. So, step one is to determine which method to use, the straight line or compound method. A straight line method assumes each year's appreciation or depreciation is a percentage of the original value. To solve, you'll multiply the annual percentage by the number of years. Compound method is more accurate, but requires repeating the step number 3 once for each year. Once I show you how to do this, you guys will see it's not hard, but you got to know. It's not hard if you know how. You know, nothing's hard if you know how, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to ride a bicycle, right? After you learned how. You may have fallen down a couple times first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So step number 2 would be, are you trying to determine a depreciated value or appreciated value? So whatever the value is, it should be based off of 100%. Anytime you're trying to determine value, we're trying to determine 100% of it. And then are you trying to figure out how much the property was worth in the past, or what it will, or a current or future value? All right. So if you're trying to determine a value in the past, if the question's asking you, if you bought a property 3 years ago for 400, if you bought a property 3 years ago, the property depreciated in value 2% per year, and we know today's value is $400,000. How much did you buy it for? If that's the case, you're going to divide to try to figure out a past value and multiply to figure out a current or future value. All right, so these are the 3 steps. Let's go to the slideshow, let's go to the whiteboard to calculate depreciation. And on here, I'm going to show you the problem would be worded like this. If you purchased a property 3 years ago and it depreciated in value 2% per year, and today's value is $400,000. How much did you purchase the property for? Now, if it doesn't tell you which method to use, you're always going to use the straight line method, which is the easier method. All right, let me show you how that works. So, whenever trying to determine value, we're trying to determine 100% of it. So we're always going to start off with 100%. So we're going to write 100%. Now, it depreciated in value 2% per year, right? Over 3 years. So times 3 years, that's 6%, right? So we're going to put 6% here. Now, depreciation is a loss of value. So we're going to be subtracting from 100%. If I said it appreciated, we would be adding to 100%. So this would leave us 0.94, right?
Yes.
So we know today's value is $400,000. And we're trying to determine a value in the past. So we're going to multiply by 0.94.
Multiply or divide?
This is a division.
Oh, I'm sorry, divide. I'm sorry, we're going to divide.
Oh, okay.
I said
Thank
multiply,
you.
but I wrote divide. I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So it's 400,000. We're trying to determine a value in the past, so we divide by 94% or 0.94.
That's 425,531.
And that's the answer,
25,531.
25,531.
We can put a 532 because it's 0.915.
Yeah, it rounded. Yep. Okay. Now, this is using the straight line method.
Mm-hmm.
So this used, that's not how you spell used. Why do I keep doing that? My brain is fried. Oh, probably because I'm not getting much sleep. This used what we call the straight line method. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the problem asked us to use the compounding method, how would we figure it out? Okay, so this was the answer using the straight line method. Let me just put that over here. That uses the straight line method. Now, below, use compound method. We only do this if question, not the problem, if the question asks us to use this compound method. All right, so we're going to be now doing a straight line method problem for the same question, basically. Here, let me separate these out. But it's going to be the same problem. So once again, we always start with 100% of the value, right?
Mhm.
We know it's depreciation, so we're going to subtract. But instead of going 2% per year, you're going to have to do it once for each year, so it's going to be 2%. And that leaves us 0.98. Okay? Now we're going to have to do this problem once for each year. So year 1, year 2, year 3. It's just additional math problems. We know the property right now is $400,000. We're still trying to figure out a value in the past, so we're going to divide by 0.98. So in year 1, it's 400,000 divided by 98%. That gives us
408,163.
408,163 and change.
27 cents.
Because it's less than 5.
Okay. So now we take that amount and we put it over here. So take this amount and go over here. 408,163 and changed. Divided again by 0.98. By the way, if you're using the calculator on your cell phone, just turn your cell phone to the side. You can just hit the equal sign again. You don't have to, it gives you an advanced calculator. You can just hit the equal sign and you don't have to plug all the numbers manually in again. So it would be 416, 493 and change, right? That's 2 years. That's 2 years ago. But now we take that and we do 416, 493 and change, divided again by 0.98, and we'll get our answer.
424,990.
It's the same. Oh no, it's the less.
424,992.
993.
Yeah, well, if we round it, it'll go 424,993. Okay, and so this is the answer. Here. I don't like this box. Sometimes I want to keep the natural drawing here. Sometimes technology.
That's good. The way it's before.
Sucks. All right, there we go. So that's the answer using compound method. Compounding method is always more accurate. However, it's more complicated. You got to do, it's more steps.
Mm-hmm.
Should we use the compound method or straight line method during the exam?
You tell me.
Only if the question specifies.
Right here.
Yeah.
All right, so below, use the compound method. We only do this if the question specifies us to. If it specifies it in the question, if it tells us to, if it doesn't tell us to use the straight line method, or if it doesn't say anything at all, we're going to use the straight line method. We're only going to use this compound method if it asks us to.
Victor, in the question, when we do the test, we have to do the form, or they only asking for the answer and we do it in separate paper? Or we have to do in there?
Well, you do it on scrap paper. You know, you pull out the scrap paper to do that.
Oh, okay. Then we can bring a blank paper in the test?
They'll give you paper. You don't bring paper, they'll supply everything for you.
Okay.
They know the tricks. They don't want people going there with the invisible ink.
And we bring pens, a pencil.
They'll supply everything. You don't need to bring anything.
Only we have to the calculator and the ready to make.
Some places that allow you to use a calculator, you cannot use a mortgage calculator like this. You cannot bring your cell phone in, otherwise, you know, your cell phone's not supposed to be in there. If your cell phone is found in, yeah, if you're using a calculator, it has to be a plain calculator, just just numeric numeric, no alpha calculators, using letters, no letters on it, no memory, no scientific or real estate calculators, just a plain Jane calculator, okay?
Nothing mother, everything all ones.
Can you scroll down to the compound method, please? I just want to take a picture of it.
Sure. Wait, hold on, let me zoom out a little bit then. I'm actually going to take a screenshot of this, and I'm going to add these screenshots into your into this particular slideshow. I'm going to do that during lunch.
Great, thanks, Victor.
Okay.
And the other one, you don't do it?
I'm going to do it for all these math problems that we just did.
That's nice.
All right. But let me move over. I'm going to give you one more problem just like this. I want you to do it on your own. Let me move that off screen. And I'm going to give you one more math problem we do on our own, you do on your own, and then we continue, okay? So here's another problem for you guys. Okay, so let me not write it. Let me type it. If you purchased a property 3 years ago and it depreciated in value 2% per year, and today's value is $380,000. Using the compound method, how much did you purchase it for? There's the problem. Okay. Go. If you purchased the property 3 years ago and it depreciated in value 2% per year, and today's value is $380,000, using the compound method, how much did you buy it for? If you get the answer, do not shout it out. Do not message the whole class. Send me a chat message with the answer. All right, I got one person who gave an answer. Let me figure it out really quick. Let's see. Yes, Giselle, you are right. So you got to remember the steps. Don't forget, when you're determining value, you got to start with 100%. Here's your tip of the day. Trying to determine 100% of it. And when trying to determine value in the past, what do? You divide. All right, so I forgot to hit resume on the recording. So basically we worked out this problem and you see it in front of you on the board. I'm just recording this I'm just gonna repeat myself here for the recording. So if you purchased the property 3 years ago and it depreciated in value 2% per year, using the compound method, we're gonna have to do it once for each year. So we did 100%, and because it depreciated, that's a loss of value. We subtracted from 100%, 2% per year. So 2%, and that gives us 0.98. So we know today's value is 380. So we took 380,000 divided by 0.98, gave us 387,775. We took that number, we divided it by 0.98 again, gave us 395,668. We took that number and we divided it again by 0.98, and it gave us 403,743. That's using the compound method. That's how much we bought it for. Now, the way to check your math as you're going through this problem to see if you're on the right track, by the way, the way to check your math on this is if your number is going down, you're doing something wrong. Because today's value is 380,000, and you purchased it 3 years ago, and it depreciated in value, then that means that you bought it for more. So your number should actually be going up. Your number should be more than the 380,000. All right? That's the way to make sure that you're at least going in the right direction. Now, the way that this would happen would be if you multiplied instead of divided. So if I gave you the same question, let me put it right below it. If I gave you the same question and I modified it a bit, we don't know what today's value is. If you purchased the property 3 years ago for 380,000 and it depreciated in value 2% per year, using the compound method, how much is it worth today? How much is it worth today? So once again, we start with 100%. We're always dealing with 100% of the value.
$357,653.
I have no idea.
I do it.
Now, it's still depreciated, so we're still subtracting from 100%. That gives us 0.98. And it says compounding, so we're still going to do that once per each year. 1, year 2, year 3. You bought it 3 years ago for $380,000.
Yeah. At this time, you multiply for 0.98, right?
You multiply to determine a current or future value by 0.98. Instead of dividing, you multiply.
That equal a 372,400.
Let me see. I like to have the number in front of me. I appreciate it though. Times 98%. Equals 37. What was that? 372,400 the first year, right?
Yes.
372,400. Now we know that this number going down is right because we gave you how much you bought it for, and now we're trying to figure out what today's value is. So if we take that number now, plug it in here.
And we have to multiply for 0.98.
Times it by 0.98 again. 364.
952.
952. Do it again. Times 0.98.
And the value in 3 years now is 357, 653.
357, 650.
3, because it's 52.96 and 653.
Yeah, so it's actually 653 or 652.96. We just rounded it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you could round it up. Which the math problem on exam, they'll probably round the number. They probably won't go down to penny. So make sure that you just do the rounding on it. You just round up to the closest number.
What I remember is when in math or any exam is less than 5, the 0.5 is, we put it down. It's more than 0.5, we put it up. That's what the computers do.
The closest number.
Yeah, but from divided from 5 low, 5 up. I know because when I got CPA, then when we do the class, that's something we have to learn in county.
Yeah, so basically you're doing this. So this is a 9, so you're crossing that out, and you're crossing that out, and you're making this a 3. Right? So you see, it matters if you divide or multiply. Makes a difference if you're trying to determine an amount in the future, today's value, or a value in the past. How much did you buy it for? So these are two entirely separate problems here. That's one problem. This other one is another. Okay. And I'm going to put these on another slide for you guys. All right. Let me probably try to clean this up a little bit. I'll just round this one here and I'll put that back to the 3.
Just hold that there for 1 second. I want to take a picture.
You got it, Ming. Good?
Got it. Yes, sir.
All righty. Back to the slideshow. We still got some terminology to go here. Give your brains a little bit of a rest. Go to lunch. Give you an extra 5 minutes here. All right,
thank you.
Oh, let me resume the recording of this class. Okay, so we got appraisals. Okay, so let's just catch up on our highlights here. So on page 228, under income approach, that's all talking about the whole process of calculating cap rates at the beginning, all those bullet points. You go down to the 4th bullet point, halfway through where you see capitalization rate in bold, just highlight that sentence. Rate of return is called the capitalization or cap rate.
What is that, Victor, please?
4th bullet point down.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Under income approach?
Yeah, the rate of return, yes.
Rate of return is called the capitalization rate. Highlight that. Now, all these bullet points are explaining the process of how to calculate the cap rate, the rate of return on an investor's money. I want you to write next to, like in the margin next to that, use T formula.
Use key formula?
T as in Tom, the T
Okay.
formula. Okay.
Okay,
Just
gotcha.
right, use T formula. That's the T formula that I was teaching you guys before to figure out the cap rates. Then on the next page, 229, under gross rent or income multipliers, just highlight GRM, gross rent multiplier GRM, and right beneath that, use reverse T formula. Okay. And to the right of that is talking about the GIM. We're not going to highlight anything there, but the GIM is the GRM, gross rent multiplier, plus you add in income from other areas like that are non-real estate related. You know, like if you're selling concessions or products or whatever, you're adding those costs in as well. We're not going to get into that. You're not going to see something like that on exam either. All right, turn to page 230. Highlight reconciliation. If more than, and then highlight the first statement there. If more than one of the three approaches to the value are applied to the same property, it's called reconciliation. It's a way that an appraiser can determine which is the best approach to use. So they'll try to value the property using all three approaches, and then they determine which is the final one that they're going to actually put the most weight in.
What is the line you saying?
Reconciliation. You're highlighting the first line and half of the second line where it gets up to the comma. If more than one of the three approaches to value are applied to the same property,
okay,
called reconciliation. All right. So, appraising is the profession that's done by a licensed professional, unbiased professional. They're called an appraisal. An appraiser. Appraisers charge fees for their appraising, and there's several license types, which we're going to be getting into shortly for appraisers. Real estate agents value properties by CMA. That's our estimate of value. So a CMA is an estimate of value by a real estate licensee and must never be called an appraisal. We also do BPOs. We do those for banks. Neither one should be ever called an appraisal because we're not appraisers, so we can't do appraisals. But sometimes agents get lazy, and instead of explaining what a CMA is, they just say, it's an appraisal. It's not an appraisal. Okay. So we're going to get into these types of appraisal licenses, but first let's talk about when do people get appraisals. So on page 230, you see the right side of the page with all the bullet points there.
Mm-hmm.
Those bullet points are all examples of when appraisals are done. So put a box around those all the bullet points and the paragraph beneath the bullet points, which explains that if it's an appraisal, it's getting done for an FHA loan. Those appraisers have to have a special FHA designation to it. They have to have another class that they take, and they have to add that FHA designation to their licenses. Because FHA appraisers have to add additional information that's not in a normal appraisal. Like they have to actually look for the condition of the property, cracked and loose steps, peeling paint. They have to actually check to make sure that if there's a dishwasher there, it's working. If there's an oven there or not, they have to make a note of it and test it that it's working. Otherwise, you're not going to get an FHA loan.
Now, when you mentioned to all the dots in the paragraph underneath, that's right underneath the appraising on page 230, correct?
Yeah.
Where you want me to put a box around? All right, thanks.
And it's basically the stuff that you see on the slideshow in front of you.
Right. Gotcha.
Why do we get appraisals done? So situations requiring appraisals. For estate purposes, when somebody dies, determining the value of the estate that gets then distributed to the heirs, right? For divorce proceedings, you know, his spouse wants to know, you know, how much are they getting, right? How much is the property worth?
Right.
Especially if one of the spouses wants to stay in the property, well, they're going to have to pay the other spouse. They're going to have to buy them out. Okay.
Yep.
What kind of ownership is it when you got married couples?
50-50. Joint.
And tenancy in severalty.
No.
Tenancy in common.
Severalty is one owner. Tenancy by the entirety.
By
By the entirety is
entirety.
ownership by married couples. That's tenancy by the entirety. But when they divorce, what happens to the tenancy by the entirety?
Change to tenancy in common.
It changes to tenancy in common, correct. So then it works just like tenancy in common does. You could sell your interest on your own, but in the event that you can't, so nobody wants to partner with your spouse, right, to own a single family house. So that's going to be a no-go. So somebody's going to have to either buy the other party out, or you're going to have to sell the property, and each party gets their share. So we're going to need to get an appraisal done to find out what the value of that estate is. For financing, when you want to purchase or refi, right, to refinance the property. For taxation reasons, for taxes are based on the value of the property, right? What do we call that general real estate tax that everybody pays?
General tax.
The general tax. What's another name for it? In Latin, it means according to value.
Ad valorem.
Ad valorem. The ad valorem tax, right? So the assessed value. So taxation is based on the value of the property. You know, that's the ad valorem, right? Ad valorem. Where's that one word? Ad valorem. Am I spelling it right? I can pronounce it, but you know what? I can't say that I tried to spell it before. Let's see.
Ad space.
Add space.
Valorem.
Ad valorem. Okay, there we go. Ad valorem. It means according to value, right? And then we have for relocation reasons. You know, we have you want to relocate from one place to another. We have relocation companies. Sometimes for work, the relocation company will, if they can't sell the property, if the person wants to just dump it, for corporations to deal with relocation companies, they will sometimes buy out the property, then sell it on their own. So they're going to need to get an appraisal done. For insurance reasons, we get appraisals done for damage or loss, or for tax deduction. Feasibility studies. These are all reasons that we get appraisals done. So let's go over the still in the wrong order. The appraisal process. Okay. So we're still on page 230 to 231, okay? So the appraisal process, see, state the problem, list the data needed and the sources, gather records, and verify necessary data. This is all stuff that the appraiser does. They determine the highest and best use. They estimate the value of the land. So they estimate value by use of the three approaches. They reconcile their estimate of value. That's when you apply more than one of the three approaches, the value of the same property we just learned, right? And then you report the final value estimate in the appraisal. So this is the appraisal process and how it works. So appraising. Now we're on the right. We're on page 231. I want you guys to go to right side page, or yeah, page 231 under the appraisal process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th bullet point, or in our book, it's the first bullet point on the right-hand side of the page, but the the 8th bullet point under the appraisal process.
Yep.
Halfway through it, I want you guys to highlight Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, USPAP, USPAP. Just like it says up here on the slide, USPAP. Okay. And then under the profession of appraisal, I want you to go to the 3rd paragraph, end of the 2nd line, and highlight MAI is the member of the Appraisal Institute. Now, you're going to get one of these on the state exam. Let me explain what they both are first, okay? USPAP or MAI. You're going to get one or both of these on your state exam. Well, what are they? Well, here, let me explain it this way. When you get your real estate license as a salesperson, you guys are going to become members of NAR, National Association of Realtors, correct? Mm-hmm. Well, what NAR is to us, MAI is to appraisers. They become members of the Appraisal Institute. Now, after you become a member of NAR, National Association of Realtors, we're going to have to take that Realtors Code of Ethics training class. What the Realtors Code of Ethics is to us, USPAP is to appraisers, the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice. Okay, this is a 15-hour course. All appraisers for all the license types are required to complete, and they got to do this on a regular basis, just like we do. All right. So now that you got a working knowledge of what it is, you don't need to know what it is. All you got to know is if you see MAI or USPAP on exams, if you know that it has something to do with appraisers, from my understanding, you'll get the question right. Okay, so I'm not sure what the question is, but I've had students tell me that. They're like, you don't even know what it is. As long as you know it has something to do with appraisals, appraising, you'll get them right. So I'm not sure how they word it, what the question is, but there you go. But I did explain to you what they are. Okay. Now, here are the 4 appraiser license types. You start off as an apprentice trainee, then you graduate to become a licensed residential appraiser.
Hello.
Then a certified residential appraiser. Certified residential appraisers, they can appraise residential property only under $1 million. And they can appraise commercial property only under the supervision of a certified general appraiser, which is the highest appraiser license type. Remember, general can do more. So a certified general appraiser can appraise residential property over $1 million. They can appraise raw land. They can appraise commercial property. They can appraise any property, and there's no monetary caps on the value of the properties that they're appraising. Okay, if you want more information about appraising profession, you go here. Let me copy that link now and put it in our class notes.
¿Qué pasó, papi? Aquí, mijo, senté en la computadora.
Let me mute that. All right. Add that to the list. Okay.
Victor,
Yes.
does the appraisal affect the value? How does it affect the value of the value of the houses in the area?
Well, the appraisal just determines the value for the reasons that we went over on the previous, not that slide, but the slide before. These are all reasons that we get appraisals done. All right.
Right, I understand.
So when you say, how do they affect the value? Well, what are you doing? Value for what?
Or like houses in a particular area, houses being sold.
What do you need the value for? Because the value is always changing, is my point. So value is determined by a real estate agent or by appraiser at any given point in time. So you need to know for what I mean. An appraisal does you no good unless you're doing something with it, right?
The CNA, the control.
So if you,
And the appraisal is requested before.
I mean, I can tell you what the value of your home is. It's not going to help you any if you're not going to use it for anything. I mean, are you wanting to refinance? Are you wanting to sell the house? Because that valuation is only good for right now. I mean, a couple of months from now, it may be different, is my point. So that's why I was asking you, valuation for what? How does it affect the value of the neighborhood? Well, the neighborhood values are always going up and down. There's a lot of factors that we already gone over about what affects the value. You know, improvements, condition, size, location, you know. So, I mean, the question was kind of vague. So I really can't answer it unless I have more information is my main point there.
I know, but I kind of understand after you explain that.
Okay.
Okay.
Wish I could answer a little bit more specificity, but need more info, you know? Okay. So these are the 4 appraiser license types. You need to know the difference between them, okay? The first 2 must work under either a certified residential appraiser or a certified general appraiser. They cannot work on their own. Now, if they're working under a certified residential appraiser, they still can't do any appraisals on commercial property or residential property over $1 million. They would have to work under a certified general appraiser. Because look, even a certified residential appraiser who can work on their own, they can't appraise properties residential properties over $1 million, and they can't appraise commercial property unless they're under the supervision of a certified general appraiser who can appraise those kinds of properties. And let's take a look at what are the requirements to become an appraiser. I don't have them written in a slideshow, so we're going to have to look at the book if you're interested in that. So let's turn to page 233, the last page of this chapter. First paragraph just talks about information about who you contact, who manages appraisers, licenses, etc. with the state, and they give you that link that I got there at the bottom of the page. Now, it says to become an apprentice trainee, you first need to complete a 90-hour class in appraisal studies and pass an exam. Let me remind you, you guys are here taking a 75-hour class in real estate in many different topics. Okay, imagine a 90-hour course in just the stuff that we're studying in this chapter. Lots of math, too. And then you just become an apprentice trainee. Can't work on your own. Usually you're the gopher and you're doing a lot of the work, but you're not getting the credit. Now, to become the licensed residential appraiser, New Jersey students must complete another 150-hour classes in approved courses and have 2,000 hours of experience in not less than 12 months. Now, if you want to become a certified residential appraiser, well, you got to have a degree. This is our new requirement. You got to have a bachelor's degree or higher. I'm sorry, an associate's degree or higher. Associate's degree in what? Liberal arts? Yep. So is that going to make you a better appraiser? Nope. So this is a stupid rule that they put into place. But because of that, a lot of appraisers know that there's going to be shortages of appraisers. So they kind of like forced it a little bit now because some dumb politician went in there, put this rule in place so they could start bragging about their accomplishments. You know, after the mortgage meltdown, I put in a more stringent education requirement so that appraisers can do their jobs better. Not that it was their fault. They were using solid data of comps that's justifiable on paper and can be looked up and verified. All right. So it was a bogus argument to begin with. But now they put in this further education requirement that doesn't help you become a better appraiser in the least bit. all it does is drive up the cost of getting your appraiser's license and takes a longer time to do so. Less people are going to want to do it. So what do you think is going to happen to appraising? There's going to be less people doing it.
They're going to charge more.
And they're going to charge more. You hit the nail on the head. They're going to charge more for it. And you're already seeing that cost of appraisals going up, especially, and they're taking longer to come in because you're seeing not as many appraisers. Some of them have come to me and got their real estate license, and they're out there now selling real estate, but they're keeping their appraiser license active though, because they're grandfathered. They don't need to meet those new requirements, those who already have it. So they're just keeping it active, waiting for those prices to come up. And they do an appraisal every now and then, whatever the minimum is to keep it active and going. And then they're going to jump back in, you know, when the prices, I guess, get high enough for them. And so what's happening right now is that's what's happening. And then if the bank wants a rush on it, they're willing to pay a lot more for those appraisals. Okay. So the applicants without a degree may substitute at least 21 semester credits in English, economics, math, business law, business or law courses. And the student must complete 200 hours, another 200 hours, of appraisal courses and have 2,500 hours of experience in a period of not less than 2 years, 24 months. And then they could work on their own, but they still can't appraise residential properties over $1 million or raw land without being under the supervision of a certified general appraiser. Okay, and then that goes into that. So in order to become a certified general appraiser, you got to have a bachelor's degree or higher. Students may substitute 30 semester credit hours in courses mentioned above and 2 elective courses in accounting, geography, AG economics, business management, or real estate. In addition to another 300 hours of approved appraisal courses are required, and an apprenticeship of 3,000 hours, with at least half of that time being in non-residential property appraisals. And in any case, they all need to complete that national 15-hour USPAP course. A lot of requirements there to become an appraiser, but those who already have these licenses, they're grandfathered in. They don't need to meet the new requirements. These two still got to work their way up. They got to meet those new requirements for each new license type. So those certified general appraisers that are already in there, they got it made. They're already grandfathered in for their use. Okay. Here's a copy of the Universal Appraisal Report. I should put that before. This is just a blank appraisal. I don't know why they're even bothering showing that. But it's the appraisal form required by many governmental agencies, and it illustrates the detailed information required of an appraisal of residential property. All right. So appraising licenses, the profession of appraising, appraisers made throughout membership societies, state licensing. All right. Oh, look at this. I had some of those other math problems at the end of this chapter too. Check this out. Boom. Calculating depreciating. Here's a question. Compound method, straight line method. Some more math. Using the T formula. How to use it. All right. So look at that. At the end of the chapter, I got a bunch more how to use the T formula and all that info here. And some sample problems. Cap rate. How to use the reverse T formula. Math using the T formula. All right, so we got just a bunch of additional problems here. Well, you know what, I could just move these instead of having them at the end of the, yeah, I'll keep them here at the end. And I'll just go back up here and I'll say more math problems at end of slideshow. Well, this is showing cap rates in the T formula. I should grab one of these T formulas that show how to use it. Actually, no, we have a slide on how to use it.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll leave it.
I'll leave it how it is. I'll leave it how it is. It's fine. We just got a lot of math slides at the end. All right.
We practice.
Yep. So let's close that out and save it. Close it out. And let's do the key terms to review at the end of the chapter. So analysis of income, including rental and other factors. Key terms 1.
Gross income multiplier?
10 is a gross income multiplier. Correct. Analysis of rental income used roughly in the sales comparison approach.
Gross rental multiplier.
GRM 11 is B. Correct. Use of land that yields the most money.
Highest and best use?
12 is C, the highest and best use. An appraisal technique that analyzes the cost to build.
Cost approach.
Cost approach. 6 is D. A little hint in there. Got the word cost, right? So 6 is D. Analysis of value of property using return on investment.
Oh, I know that.
Capitalization rate.
Income approach. 13 is
Income
E.
approach.
Yeah, 13 is E. An extra that contributes to the owner's satisfaction, like clean air, views, and so on.
Amenities.
An amenity. 1 is F. A loss of value due to any cause or condition.
Depreciation.
Depreciation. 7 is G. Loss of value due to factors that are beyond the property's boundaries. External obsolescence. 8 is H. Ooh, a loss of value due to worn or outdated features.
Functional obsolescence.
It is functionally obsolete. Functional obsolescence. 9 is I. Process of estimating value.
Appraisal.
Appraisal. 2 is J. Rate of return demanded by investors in a particular area.
Capitalization rate.
Capitalization rate. 4 is K. Similar nearby properties that recently sold. Comparable. 5 is L. And an independent person trained to provide an unbiased estimate of value. An appraiser. 3 is M. All right. One more key terms to go. Analysis of values received by different appraisal approaches.
No. Sale
Value.
No, market price.
Number 7.
Market
Value.
market value.
Hold on. Analysis of values received by different appraisal approaches.
Reconciliation.
Reconciliation. 4 is A. Reconciliation. You got to be careful reading the questions. 4 is A. Okay, cost to rebuild exactly using materials like the original.
Reproduction costs.
6 is B. Reproduction. Cost to rebuild using today's material techniques that are maybe not necessarily an exact duplicate.
Replacement costs.
Replacement cost. 5 is C. What a property actually sells for.
Market value.
Market price. 1 is D. It's the selling price. 1 is D. Location and the buyer's willingness to pay more for certain locations. Location.
Situs.
8 is E. A loss of value due to wear and tear.
Physical deterioration.
3 is F. Parcel of real estate being appraised.
Value.
Subject property.
It's the
Subject
subject property. It's the subject property. 9 is G.
Okay.
Present worth of future benefits.
Market value.
Value. It's simply value. 11 is H. A price that would be paid by an informed buyer.
Market value.
That's market value. 2 is I. Principle. That no one would pay more if the same can be had for less.
Still compare.
Substitution?
Substitution, 10 is J. And appraisal technique that analyzes the prices of comparable properties.
Still comparing.
Sales comparison approach, 7 is K. And how do we do that? With a CMA, right? So that concludes chapter 16. All right.
Victor, if you don't mind just going through the key terms too, just read down the letters for me, please.
Hold on one second. Let me just open up our chapter 17 slide here.
Yeah, I momentarily
All
got
right, so which one?
distracted.
Key 1 or 2?
Key turn 2.
Key turn
Number 2.
D as in David, I as in igloo, F as in Frank, A as in apple, C as in Charlie, B as in boy, K as in killer, E as in Edward, G as in George, J as in Jack, and H as in Harry.
Thank you very much.
All right. You're welcome. So, chapter 17. This is going to deal with mainly the sale of a business, a lot of business terminology, investment and business brokerage. All right. So, what are some of the advantages? We're going to start off with, advantages and disadvantages of investing in real estate, describing some of the tax benefits, but we're not going to get too deep into that. We'll get a little bit into it. We're not tax people, so we're not going to go into the weeds, but just the stuff that's common that real estate agents need to know about it. Investing in real estate. What are some of the advantages? Why do we invest in real estate? To get some kind of a return on the investment, right? To generate a return on the investment. Right? So leverage is using borrowed money. And then we have inflation is a hedge. We're going to get into that a little bit deeper in a second. Disadvantages. What are some of the disadvantages of using real estate?
Victor, we're not seeing your share screen.
You're not?
No.
Oh, man. How about now?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. So some of the advantages of real estate, you get a return on your investment, you got leverage, or inflation as a hedge. What do they mean by as a hedge? I have no idea what the heck they're talking about there. I would imagine they're talking about using it to get tax breaks on it, or inflation in the value where the property then goes up if the property values go up. Yeah, I'm assuming that's what they mean here. Let me see. Leverage. Let's see where they're talking about leverage. Cash flow. Yep, leverage. It's at the top of the page. And then
return.
Yes. Yeah, they're talking about the property inflation hedge. So as the property values inflate, as property values go up, okay. So as long as you're holding on to the property long enough, generally real estate is a good investment. Oh my gosh. I downloaded a good meme on my cell phone. I got to add that to this slide right here. This is chapter 17. chapter 17, slide number 4. I have a good slide that I downloaded about a president who, hold on one second. I think I emailed this to myself, and I think I have it in a shared folder. Hold on. I may be able to show this to you guys right now. Our past president made comment that generally real estate is a good investment if you hold it long enough for the long period of time.
The whole key is residual income in the later years. That's where you get to see the investments.
Well, if you hold on to real estate long enough and the values go up, I mean, there's different ways, which is what we're going, basically what we're touching on right now. What are the different ways that you could make money in real estate? Well, you could hold on to it for rental income.
Yeah.
Right. So there's your residual income. Is if you hold on to it long enough for rental purposes.
You can flip it.
Well,
repair it and flip it.
Hold on a second. In order to flip it, it's got to increase the value somehow. So
yes,
if you just buy real estate today and sell it tomorrow or next week, you're probably going to lose money. Because unlike stocks and bonds, you cannot just buy real estate and sell it quickly without taking some sort of a loss, which is one of the disadvantages under real estate, which is something that we're going to highlight right now. Actually, you might as well highlight it on page 239. The first sentence under disadvantages of real estate. That was the very next topic we were going to go over. Okay. Unlike stocks and bonds, real estate, you'll probably lose money on it if you sell it quickly, unless you force an increase of the value. In order to force the increase of the value, you'd have to fix and flip, is what we talk about usually, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant by it. So if I purchased a house that was just completely uninhabitable, and then I did the repairs and I upgraded and I did the lawn and everything, I mean, I can sell it and then see my profit on it because everything has been upgraded and repaired.
Oh, I got these properties. Remember I told you about that property around the corner from my house? Hold on a second. Let me download these images really quick. I got this property around the corner from my house. I snapped some pictures. Let me just download it and put it in a folder so I could share it and show it to you guys. Remember I told you about the house that somebody was doing work on? They were using a 203K loan, that construction loan for?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I snapped a couple more pictures of it. Huh. I can't really see in the share folder what the hell these images are. I have to download them again here and save them locally. So it's just going to take me 1 second here, okay? Yeah, that's amazing, you know. So I mean, that's the old builders. Yeah, that's the old builder's trick right there. Get the that old builder's trick is just to get that prop, you know, as long as they left that garage standing there and they built a whole brand new house around it. I mean, you see this one with the chimney here, but they were just keeping that up, I think, because the electric wires were connected to that wall.
My goodness, this is funny.
And then they built a brand new house. Yeah, see, they had the electric wire coming in over here.
Yes.
That's the only reason why they left that wall temporarily standing. But they kept the garage and they built all around the new garage, or that existing garage structure. And there you go, the new house. They're still working. They're still working on it. They're taking a long time to do this, surprisingly, but so I guess they're doing it in phases, and they got to get that the contractor gets paid in phases as different phases of the construction are completed. They got to wait for the appraiser to get sent out. Then the bank cuts the check to the contractors for the work and the materials, and then they move on with the next phase of the construction until it's completed, and then they'll pay out.
It's how the lenders lend. The lenders lend in every phase is done. It's when they draw the money.
Yeah. So an appraiser is who will be sent out, which is appropriate for the last chapter. They send an appraiser out for each step of that construction project. Now,
and then after they selling the house and do the closing, because also the appraiser is going to do a little bit up. That make the value there.
Those people are going to live in it. They're not fixing it to flip it. That person's going to live in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They actually got a big family, so that's why they bought that house, and then they're building it new, and they're going to remodel that whole thing. Yeah, I gotta find where the meme is. I got a meme on my cell phone though from one of the presidents that talks about real estate, which is the reason why we diverted here. We digressed from the lesson a little bit, is because I had a meme from an old president that talked about real estate being one of the best investments you could do in the long term. Okay, look. You could collect rents on it and earn income. It appreciates in value over time. I mean, in the short run, real estate is not a good investment for a quick return, not unless you're forcing the value, an increase of the value by doing improvements to it. But if you don't do improvements to it, you're not going to get any kind of return. You could actually get a loss in value. Where that stems from is hold on a second. The Microsoft whiteboard. Let me open up another whiteboard here. Boom, boom. Okay. So you guys could be seeing the Microsoft whiteboard. So basically, it works like this. Real estate is historically a good purchase, good value. But where are you? Because the real estate market is cyclical. What does that mean? The value goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. Now, what matters is where is it? Where are you in that cyclical cycle when you're trying to buy real estate? Sometimes people come and they ask us a question. Where is the, what do you think? The property values are going up or are they going down? My answer is going to be always, I wish I had the crystal ball that I could tell you that. Because right now, are we in a downward cycle or are we in the upward cycle? That you could get a good idea of. But look, if we're in a downward cycle, are we at bottom yet? Is it starting to come up yet? Or is it still further down to go? If we're in an up cycle, are we at the bottom of that up cycle, the middle, the top, and it's about to drop again? Where are we? But historically, property values go up over the long run. So look, if you're in the bottom of the cycle over here, but you bought at the peak of the real estate market here, you're still above. You're still better than what you started, right? You're still more, right? Yep. So typically real estate is a good investment over the long term. But where in that cycle is it that you're buying is what makes the difference. That's basically what that president's meme is. And if I could find it, I know I saved it to somewhere. I just need to locate the damn thing, and then I'll put it in this slideshow here. All right.
Is now a good time to buy?
It's always a good time to buy. Come on, you're asking a salesperson. No, it is a good time to buy. No,
yeah,
I mean, look, you're talking to you.
If the price is right, It's always good to buy.
Look, prices are good, but also interest rates. The financing is at the lowest that you're ever going to see in your life, these interest rates, right? We've never seen interest rates as low as we've seen them these last couple of years. Once the economy starts lifting up, I mean, we've seen the interest rates are going up already. But once we've seen once the economy stabilizes out, I mean, we got a lot of things that are, screwing up our economy right now. There's a lot of unrest going on within our country. Other countries are trying to take advantage of us. We got an election year going on. China's trying to influence us. Russia's trying to influence us. We got political opposition parties are fighting against each other and trying to build up chaos just because they could say, hey, look, the guy who's in office right now, it's his fault. That people are rioting in the street, one thing has nothing to do with the other, but these things do have an effect on real estate markets. Would you want to buy real estate in a town where riots are going on, properties are getting burned down, destroyed, people are getting mugged and murdered, and the local government's doing nothing about it? Or is it time to get the hell out of Dodge? Look right in New York City. Right in New York City, you got people that are there all the time. And the politicians' arguments are always like, you know what? Rich people are going to come where the money's at because New York City is the place. Yeah, they'll come there, they'll do their business, but they're not going to live there. They're moving out, or they could move somewhere else. Look, New York itself, people are moving out of New York in masses, because there's no tax advantages to you have businesses in New York. So
last year in New Jersey, over 46,000 families moved out.
And we got people moving to New Jersey from New York. Because New York's even worse.
Yeah.
So you look at the real estate values in New York, we got high taxes, but in the long run, we're cheaper than New York is. So people from New York will move to us. They get sick of it over here, and then they move to other states. Okay. So, yeah, it's interesting. I'm an observer of people. I'm an observer of the facts. I'm a realist. I try to keep it real. And I notice how a lot of people they have vested interest in things. And when they have vested interest in things, their beliefs, or at least the beliefs that they verbalize, they're pretty loud about them until it starts to affect their pocketbook. When it affects their wallets and their pocketbooks, what they say one thing, but their actions say something else. When they start moving out of New York, when they start moving out of New Jersey, and they're finally getting their, they got their politicians in place, they got their legislation passed that they wanted, but then it starts negatively affecting them. Then they get the hell out and they move to a different state that has more favorable things. And then they could go on there living the same belief system that they've always had, because they never actually got impacted by it to the point that they had to get stuck there. Okay. And it's interesting as you see people move and migrate around the country, how policies change around the country, but real estate is local, and you look at it at the local level. And these little things, these little factors that go on, everything from wars across the planet to civil unrest within a municipality or a state, these things do factor into real estate, and you've got to be aware of them too. Look, we got something like a virus, coronavirus. I mean, that's impacting real estate. Not as many people are going out there watching, going to see properties. I mean, they want to buy properties, but they're not going out there to see them. But we still got a lot of buyers that are buying. We got doctors and nurses that are doing killer business right now, and they're looking to buy houses and sell houses. We got people who are dying because of coronavirus, and their families are looking to sell their houses now. So real estate's always going to be a good market. Doesn't matter if it's because of good reasons or bad reasons. People die, they look to sell a house. People get married, they look to buy a house. They get kids, they're looking to get a bigger house. Their kids grow up and move out, it's time to downsize. All of these factors play into real estate. It's a life thing. People need a place to live. They're not living in mud huts. They're living in homes here in the United States, right? They're not living in tents. Well, some people are, but then again, they usually don't have jobs anyway. So, but the people that we're going to deal with, they deal in real estate. They want a house to live. They're either going to be renting or they're going to be buying to own. And we got to be aware of all the factors around us, what's going on. If you're in the real estate market, you want to do good in the real estate business, you got to drop all you can't front. Okay. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to be honest with what's going on in the world. You got to be honest what's going on in society. You got to be honest with yourself, at least on the impact of it. You know, just think about yourself. Would I put my money in this, and why? Would I or would I not? Okay. You better believe the rhetoric that you're putting out there. Otherwise, you know, make your decisions wisely and accordingly. And I suggest you do them in fact-based research and not just stuff you hear. Okay. It's not a bad idea being like me and being what I like to do is I like to observe others and see what others are doing, see what others' actions are, see what's going on. And I froze here. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah, we hear you.
All right. So I'm looking at my picture there, and I got a weird frozen look on myself. And
Yeah.
that's not me right now.
Your voice is going.
I hope the Zoom app don't crash again.
No.
Hey, Victor, I'm going to be leaving in about 2 minutes. I have a doctor's appointment.
I
don't know.
I hope you're keeping tabs on your attendance there too, though, by the way. Don't miss more than 15 hours.
No.
Okay. I mean, I could always look it up, but it's a pain in the ass. It'd be easier if you keep it marked down as well. So this way I could just verify. All right. And they're not walking away and turning the Zoom app on. We could still see through the Zoom records, people that are active or not on there by listening to the noises and the motion on camera and such. The Zoom app takes that into consideration, and I cannot pull up the poll right now because I got the wheel spinning. So I don't know
it's all good. I understand. I have a doctor's appointment. That's why I gotta.
I just hope.
Yesterday I stuck around. Yesterday I stuck around till like 4:15.
Good.
You know, and the other times when I did leave a little early, maybe the earliest might have been was like 4:10 or 4 o'clock. I think once I might have taken an afternoon off. Yeah, one time I did. I left around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but other than that, I've been staying at least till the latest 4:15, 4:20, or even 4:30.
As long as you're here and you're getting the content, you're paying attention.
Is anybody else, Vic, are you frozen on anyone else's?
Yeah, I'm frozen. Are you guys frozen right now?
Not me.
We could hear it. We could hear our voices right now, but
yeah, we can hear you pretty well, but you still frozen.
Yeah.
I could change the slide. Can you guys see the slide changing too?
No.
It's on the whiteboard.
It's not changing.
Shit.
Yeah, but we hear you, but the board is not changing.
I have different pages.
Oh, he just left.
Yeah, I think no, I'm here.
You're there.
I'm here. I just can't. I can't put up a poll. The Zoom app is frozen on me. I can't put up a poll. I cannot change the screen. It says screen sharing is paused.
That's it. Everybody passed. We all passed.
There's my girl.
You can't boost it?
Hey, little boy.
We already passed. We just need to take the test.
Yeah, that's it. We're
All
good.
right. Yeah, this I don't think this Zoom app is going anywhere. My Zoom stuff is starting to even fade in color, like the controls are gone on it. I think I'm gonna kill this, and we need to log back in.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. Kill it and then come back.
All right, so let's do that.
All right.